Hello mes amis and welcome to this new War Thunder video. First of all, I would like to thank you guys for your support as we reached 50 subscribers, and that may not be a high number, but it's something I didn't really expect when starting my channel, so for that I'm very grateful guys, so again, thanks a lot. For this video I wanted to tackle a highly controversial topic on War Thunder at the moment, Russia 10.3 and 10.7. I heard and read a lot lately about the Russian lineup at top tier, and I wanted to give you my 2 cents on the topic. You have the right to disagree with me, of course, but if you do, please argue in the comments in a constructive manner why I am wrong. So, let's answer the question right away. No, top tier Russia is not OP. Let me tell you why. First of all, yes, top tier Russia is strong. Yes, Russian top tanks are good and they are pretty straightforward and forgiving, but by no means are they OP. Let's review together the pros and cons of Russia at this BR. For the pros, we can say that the Russian tanks have very good armor. This is true for the T-80U, T-72B3, the two T-72B, and since the last update, the T-90. Regarding the other tanks, they can all be frontally penetrated with the DM33 APF-SDS through the upper front plate. They have good firepower, but nothing that can compare to the Italian and Swedish 625mm penetrating shell, which the US also have access to since the introduction of the Merkava Mark III. And last but not least, they have lots and lots of tanks they can bring into battle, which are all competitive. And by a lot, I mean 5 or 6 or even more tanks. Now for the cons. Russian tanks are not very mobile. They are quick for sure, but not maneuverable and barely have a reverse gear apart from the T-80U, which means that any overextension from them will be very dangerous and susceptible to be punished by any good player around. They don't have any thermal sight or commander thermals until very late in the tech tree, so night battles or huge maps are the bane of Russians. They also rely a lot on armor. As a result, they have slow turret traverse and bad gun depression. Even if they have a lot of frontal armor, if you ever catch a Russian tank from the side, it's a free and instant kill, because of their shell carousel right in the middle of the tank. Furthermore, they only have 3 crew members, so any shot lined up to get the commander and the gunner will be a kill shot. Their tank properties force them to have a very particular playstyle. If they play too aggressively and rush too far, they'll be punished by their lack of reverse gear or their lack of side armor, and then they can't really hold down because of their bad gun depression. So basically, they either have to be very defensive or rush like lemmings to surprise the enemy team. And that's usually what happens in game. As you can see, they have some good pros but very bad cons and are certainly not invulnerable OP tanks. Now that we looked at their abilities, let's see some tips and tactics to ruin their day. First of all, when you're facing Russia, try to be as defensive as possible. As we saw, they have very bad turret traverse and no side armor, so if you force them to move towards you, they'll be highly vulnerable. The fact that Russia players usually lemming train rushing the mid-cap is why Russia feels so damn strong at the moment. They are basically using their extremely strong frontal armor to brawl on the mid-cap, and as everyone arrives on the same time and gain the advantage in the game. To counter this, just stay a bit behind where you would normally go to draw them out towards you, or try to flank as much as possible to shoot their sides and watch the fireworks. The main point of this strategy is to let them advance while some players of your team are flanking the enemy, and when they start wreaking havoc in the Russian ranks, push and clean them up. Additional tip. Urban maps and urban environments are very dangerous for top tier Russia because they have to pass a lot of corners and can be attacked from every angle, so try to draw them in towns and cities. When a Russian tank is trying to pass a corner where you are waiting, it will offer you a broadside shot and a free kill with it. But to get things even easier, let me show you this. You see, Russian tanks have one big fatal flaw. They are all designed the same way. Have a look at some frontal pictures of all the tanks above 9.0. So if you know how to destroy one, you know how to destroy them all. Russian tanks have 3 major weak points to exploit. Very weak lower frontal plate, the driver port just below the gun mantlet and the set gun mantlet. Use this to your advantage to practice shooting them as soon as you start to encounter T-64s and T-72s, and you'll be perfectly prepared to face top tier Russia. Finally, remember that you are in top tier, so while facing Russia or any other nation, you have to have only one single thing on your mind when shooting someone. Always disable your target's shooting ability first, unless you are 1000% sure that you will one-shot your target. Shoot the gun barrel and or the breech first, and then kill it. Some people say that Russia has too much armor on their tank, but they don't complain about the Leopard 2A5, the Challenger 2 or the Stridsvagn 132, and they all three are super armored beasts with the same weak points as Russian tanks. Yes, Russians' upper front plate are strong, but they all have a huge weak point in the gun area, as well as their lower front plate, the latter often resulting in a one-shot when shot. If you can be more comfortable with this, just imagine that every tank you are facing is invulnerable and unkillable as long as their barrel or breech are operational. If you have already seen my how to tackle top tier video, I may be repeating myself, but I assure you this trick is essential and help you very much tackle with Russian tanks. As such, you will start to get the habit of shooting your opponent's firing systems before having all the time in the world to finish them. And that's it, boys. I felt I had to do this video seeing how many people are complaining about Russia being too strong and OP. They have a tendency to be idiot-proof, that's one thing, but they are not stronger than NATO tanks. To be completely honest with you, I still think that the Leopard 2A5, 2A6 and the two Stridsvagn 132 are the most powerful tanks in the game, and by a large margin. Even the addition of the T-90 proved that the long-awaited tank that was supposed to be the savior of Russia top tier was not even close to these armored monsters. Also, it's a bit less true that Russia is capable of flooding the battlefield with their tanks, since a lot of nations just got another top tier tank to strengthen their troops. So now, no more excuses to let Russian lemming players win with impunity. As for me, mes amis, thanks again a lot for the 50 subs, it means a lot to me, and I hope to see you very soon for another video. So, as always, I'll see you in the next one. Salut!